The letter that never reached him. Dear James. It's strange how I still remember your handwriting, not because I've seen it recently, but because memory has a way of refusing to fade when it shouldn't matter anymore. The loops in your letters, the way you pressed too hard on the paper whenever you were angry or trying to hide something. I used to tease you about that, remember? You'd roll your eyes and say, "At least it's still legible." And it always was, painfully so, like everything you ever left behind. I don't even know why I'm writing this. It's late, the kind of late that makes the walls feel closer and the silence feel alive. I've thought about doing this for years, sitting down and saying everything I never said. Not to get you back, not to change anything, but because sometimes closure is just another word for honesty. I think I owe myself that much. I've rewritten this letter in my head 100 times. It always starts differently. Sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm soft, sometimes I pretend I don't care. Tonight, I just want to be honest. You deserve that, even if you'll never read it. Do you remember that evening by the bridge? It had just rained, and the world smelled like wet soil and diesel. You were trying to light a cigarette, but the wind kept fighting you. You laughed, gave up, and said, "Maybe the world's telling me something." I didn't say anything then, but I thought, I hope it's telling you to stay. You didn't. That's not bitterness, just a fact I learned to carry quietly. You didn't stay, and I don't blame you anymore. People leave for 1,000 small reasons: a moment too quiet, a conversation that ended badly, a love that became too heavy to hold. I used to think I was the reason. Now I think maybe life just moves, and sometimes it forgets to take us along. There were mornings after you left when I'd wake up and still check my phone, half expecting a message. You always sent me those small things: a photo of your coffee, a song you thought I'd like, a line from a book you were reading. It's funny how you can get addicted to such ordinary gestures. How they can mean more than grand confessions ever could. After a while, the messages stopped coming. The playlist ended. The silence became normal. And so did my pretending. I remember walking into a cafe one day, months after you were gone. A song was playing, I think it was one you sent me once, and for a second, I almost turned around, thinking maybe you'd be there. But it was just someone else, a stranger who looked like you from the back. My heart didn't race, not the way it used to. It just ached in that quiet, familiar way. That's how I knew I was beginning to heal, not because it stopped hurting, but because the hurt started feeling ordinary. I don't want to make this sound poetic. You know I hate when people romanticize pain. It wasn't beautiful, what happened to us. It was messy and confusing and full of words we never said. But it was real. God, it was so real. And I think that's what I miss the most, the realness of it all. You once told me I made you feel understood. I never told you that you made me feel seen. It's not the same thing, is it? Being understood feels like someone read your story. Being seen feels like someone found you inside it. You did that for me, for a while, at least. And maybe that's why it took so long to let go. Because after you, every conversation felt like translation. Sometimes, when I walk home at night, I still look up when the wind shifts. It's silly, but it feels like a memory passing by. I've tried to explain it, how certain nights carry your name even when I'm not thinking about you. I don't think love ever disappears, I think it just changes shape. What we had, it doesn't haunt me anymore. It just lingers, like an old song I don't skip but don't replay either. I met someone new last year. He's kind. Steady. The kind of person who listens before speaking. We don't talk about forever, we talk about groceries and weekend plans and small, gentle things. Sometimes when he laughs, I hear the echo of what we used to be. But it's different now, calmer, softer, safer. I think you'd like him. Or maybe not. You always liked things that burned. I don't regret loving you. I regret the version of myself I became while trying to keep you. I was so afraid of losing you that I forgot what it meant to have myself. You never asked me to, but I gave up parts of who I was, little by little, without even noticing. It took years to gather them again, and even now, some pieces don't fit the same. But I'm whole enough. I think that's enough. You know, sometimes I wonder what you'd say if you read this. Would you feel sorry? Would you smile that quiet, crooked smile and say, "You always overthink everything"? You were right, by the way. I still do. But I've learned that thinking too much is just another way of feeling too deeply. And I don't apologize for that anymore. I saw your name pop up online last month, not because I searched, it just appeared, like the world still plays its small tricks. You looked happy. Or at least, you looked at peace. That used to sting, but now it doesn't. You were always chasing something, a place, a dream, a sense of freedom that didn't include me. I understand that now. Maybe I was never meant to be part of your destination. Maybe I was just a stop along the way, the warm coffee before the long road. There's no bitterness in that thought, just clarity. You taught me something I didn't appreciate then, that love doesn't have to last to be meaningful. That sometimes, the briefest chapters are the ones that leave the deepest marks. I kept one of your letters, by the way. The one where you wrote, "Someday, when we're older, we'll laugh about how dramatic we were." I used to reread that line and imagine us growing old together, looking back at all this with soft smiles. I guess that someday never came, but maybe that's okay. Some stories don't need an ending, they just need to be told. It's strange, writing this now. My hands don't shake, my heart doesn't race. It just feels quiet. Like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. Maybe this letter isn't for you at all. Maybe it's for the version of me that never stopped waiting for an answer that was never coming. Maybe I'm just giving her permission to rest. If somehow, by some coincidence, this letter ever found its way to you, I hope you'd read it on a calm day. Maybe you'd smile. Maybe you'd remember the sound of my voice when I was still soft, before the world made us both harder. Maybe you'd think of that bridge again, the one where the wind stole your lighter and I wanted to tell you to stay. Maybe you'd finally understand what I couldn't say then, that love, no matter how brief, deserves to be remembered gently. I don't know where you are now. I don't need to. You were real once, real enough to change the way I see the world, real enough to remind me that even loss can be tender. That's all I ever needed from you, really, not forever, just truth. And you gave me that, in your own imperfect way. So here it is, the letter that will never reach you. No return address, no expectation. Just words on a page that finally stopped waiting for an answer. Thank you for being a chapter I'll never regret reading. Good night. Mary.